We're going to get to Senator Lindsey Graham now for more on what Catherine was just telling us about GITMO, about the detainees' release, and also about a few other issues. So, Senator Graham, so nice of you to join us today. Being that you're a member of both the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees, also a former JAG attorney, what's going to happen to GITMO?
Well, I think we're sort of in no man's land now. I'd like a timeout on detainee release. We're obviously having a recidivism problem, and now you're into the hardest of the hard. So next year I'm going to introduce a legal reform package, how we hold detainees, how we try detainees, and how we release detainees, and Congress should get involved. We've been pretty much AWOL, and there's a lot of legal changes need to be made to our laws to make us safe and live within our values. So next year I'll pursue this with full force.
Do you think having GITMO as it is right now is living outside our values?
Well, I think no, it's the best run military prison in the world, but it does present a propaganda tool for our enemies because of the past behavior. But it's a well-run jail. It should be used right now to try Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. The mastermind on 9/11 should be tried at GITMO. He's ready to plead guilty. But you cannot close GITMO until you can prove to the American people you've done it safely. So what we need to do is look at our laws. Should we read people Miranda rights once they're captured trying to blow up an airplane? I think not. I think we should have a process to allow these people to be interrogated without a lawyer and reading their Miranda rights. Our habeas statutes, what happens if a federal judge orders release of one of these detainees? Do we have to release them in the United States? That hasn't been addressed. So there's a lot of legal issues to be addressed, and I intend to do that next year. So let's have a timeout on releasing anybody from Guantanamo Bay until we get our laws right.
It's interesting, the Obama administration obviously wants to close GITMO. It was something that the president talked about his second day in office, and his national security advisors have said that it is imperative that we close GITMO for our own national security. There's also that argument for our national security when it comes to the START treaty, which is something we've been talking a lot about, the nuclear treaty potentially between Russia and the United States. The president says that this treaty is imperative for what's happening in our war on terror in Afghanistan because Russia provides us a supply route. Where do you stand on START right now?
I'd like to have a START treaty that's a good treaty. It's imperative that the treaty be done in a way not to limit our ability to pursue missile defense. So what I want from the administration is a definitive declaration that this administration will pursue all 4 stages of strategic missile defense apart from the START treaty. It's imperative that we're going to have the money to modernize our nuclear force that's left over. Whatever is left needs to be able to be modernized and be a deterrent. So we need to make sure that our nuclear arsenal is modernized and stays a deterrent. Those are 2 things that have to be done before you get my vote on START. But all things being equal, I agree with the White House that a START treaty should be done as soon as possible. Back to GITMO, President Bush and Senator McCain wanted it closed. All things being equal, it'd be good to close GITMO, but you need a plan. And this administration doesn't have a plan. I've worked with them the best I can, and they're reluctant to make the hard decisions. They got to tell the ACLU, these people are terrorists, they didn't rob a liquor store, and you can hold them under the law of war as long as they're dangerous. And we need to stop reading Miranda rights to people who are trying to attack our country. They're military threats, not criminal threats.
Senator,
so there's a lot to be done.
We have a few other topics to talk to you about as well. If you'd be so kind, we have to take a quick commercial break, but we'd like to talk to you on the other side of that, sir, if you can hang around with us. Back with us is Senator Lindsey Graham. He's a Republican from South Carolina, sitting on both the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees. And, sir, just on that breaking news, what's your reaction? What's your thought on the state of homegrown terror right now?
Well, it's growing, and we need our laws to recognize the difference between some domestic crime and a military threat. I'm not prejudging the person, but here's what I would like to happen in the future. If you're an American citizen, you're not eligible for military commission trial. So this person should be tried in civilian court. I'm okay with that. However, I'm not okay with reading him his rights or giving him a lawyer if we believe he's involved in a terrorist act. What I would suggest, even for American citizens, that Congress create a statute that would allow our intelligence agencies to hold people for 2 or 3 days before they have to give them a lawyer or read their Miranda rights, go to a federal judge, ask permission to continue to hold them as a national security threat for several weeks, then make a decision as to what to do with the person. This idea of reading Miranda rights and providing lawyers as soon as you capture them shuts down the intelligence gathering process. So this is a case where Congress should be involved, creating flexibility to our intelligence agency, for our intelligence agencies they don't have now.
I only have about 30 seconds here, Senator, but we're hearing that potentially the defense authorization bill might be taken up tonight in the Senate. And of course, that includes the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. What's your approach?
Well, I think the defense authorization bill cannot be meaningfully debated. It's just not Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the F-35. I've got a bunch of amendments about GITMO, so I just don't see how we can do this with the time period we have, much less do the defense authorization and start. Our Democratic friends have no idea how to use the time left in this lame duck session. And if you bring up the defense bill, I'm not going to allow it to be shortchanged. I'm not going to allow it to be to go forward without meaningful debate and amendment.
All right, you just bought me 20 more seconds, which is about the tax cut issue. You said by the middle of this week we'd probably see a vote on it.
Yeah.
Have the events over the last 24 hours changed your thoughts on that timeline?
Well, I think it's a decent deal from my point of view, the best deal we're going to get. I'd like to extend them permanently, but I think it is a good deal. It's up to the Democrats now. I said we'd have a deal. We got a deal. I can't speak for the entire Democratic Party. If the left thinks they can get a better deal next year with Republicans in charge of the House, I welcome that. Let's carry this over to next year and see if I can get a better deal as a Republican.
Senator, always nice to have you during breaking news and otherwise. Always good. Senator Graham, thank you.
Thank you.